Okay, so this is Karen Lindwall-Bourg. I'm the president of the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. I'm going to do a little intro for you and then get our guest speaker, featured expert in the marketing field, started on our webinar today. For the whole month of September, we're going to focus on marketing. I'm very excited about that. Let me pray for us and give you a few tidbits of information about NACWE, and then get Jeannette Wood of Speak, Do, Teach?
Seek, do, teach. That's right.
Seek, do, teach started right off the bat. Father God, we're so grateful. We're grateful for the freedom that we have to be entrepreneurs in the places that we live, for the passion and the desires and the dreams and things that you've given us, so that we know that we're called to do this work. We lift ourselves up to you today during this hour, Lord. We pray that Jeannette is able to focus without distraction on what she wants to talk to us about, and that we all take away something today that will enhance our business and ministry, especially in the area of marketing. We're so intimidated sometimes about it. Maybe we don't need to be. I'm great at making mountains out of molehills, Lord, so I would just pray for a special tidbit of information as we go throughout each day of the month, this month, and talk about marketing that I can take away to enhance my business and ministry. And so we offer you this hour, Lord, to do with as you will, and pray that what we do here in this hour pleases you. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
So everyone here is familiar with the NACWE. We didn't draw in someone new in the crowd today, but I'll just do a quick snippet of what we're about. Our goal is to enhance education and community for Christian women entrepreneurs. And we do that every week in multiple ways, but every week on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with webinars on the theme of the month. And we're kicking off the month today with Jeannette on marketing. A little bit about me is that I, for those listening in a little bit later, started a group very similar to NACWE about a year after NACWE was started, and then just felt overwhelmed and went looking for more, someone who could lead me and take me to new levels, and found Diane Cunningham, our founder and first president, and NACWE, and just dove in with all fours, essentially. They used to kind of joke around with me and say I knew my way around the classrooms better than anybody in the group, and that's where I lived for a while. And because of that, there's no way you can do everything that a group or a mentor or coach asks you to do in short periods of time. But because I just kept plugging in and implementing new ideas and new things, my business grew by 2.4 times that first year. And as you can imagine, then I was sold 100% on NACWE until forever. So that's me. You can follow us on our fan page and join us as a member to follow us in our private Facebook membership group as well, where lots of things are happening. Our members have access to classrooms, over 22 classrooms, I think, and over 500 tidbits, whether they are articles or podcasts or webinars inside each of those classrooms. Callie is one of our team members. She keeps us going, especially she keeps the classroom going. And the other day she said, you need to stop telling people that there's over 500 items in there, because really I think it's a lot more than that. And so we really need to go in there and start counting up and do the ticker tape thing. But this is Callie. Introduce you, Callie. Really quickly, don't forget we have a conference here in McKinney, Texas on September 14th and 15th of this month. And we are hoping you'll come in and take advantage of that. We also have created we've got bags and journals and lots of NACWE water bottles and things like that for you to take advantage of, and lots of goodies, a bag full of goodies for everyone who attends the conference. We are going to record it this year. We haven't done that very consistently in the past, and this year we're going to do everything we can within our power to get it recorded so that people can purchase those recordings later as well. Haven't done that. I hope we do that every year. So that's last month. This month we're talking about marketing, so I'm going to stop share. We're going to hear from Jeannette Wood today. Next week we're going to hear from Christina Rader of Rethink Marketing, and the week after that with Tara, we're going to be with Tara Jacobson of Marketing Artfully. She has the hilarious website, and I couldn't even count the number of books that she wrote online, and all of these women, well, Christina's been with us for years, and we've heard from her probably before. All of them are experts in the field of marketing. At the end of the month, we have another speaker coming in, but she and I are kind of talking back and forth. She may have to record her session, so we'll see. I'll announce her session when we're sure that she's able to be here live. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeannette and let Jeannette introduce herself. We talked forever. I didn't want to get off the phone. She had to force me off the phone. We had so many things in common. You know, none of these are, we believe all of these are divine appointments, and there's just proof in the pudding every time we have conversations. I bragged on her when I introduced her in the NACWE membership group by saying, you guys, she's got 11 children. And I always wanted a dozen children. My mom used to tease me and say, you don't have to have all of the grandkids. And now we have a daughter. We have 6 kids. We didn't make it to a dozen. I had to borrow some of those. And we have a daughter who wants to have a dozen. We'll see if she makes it. She's a NACWE member, and she'll be at the conference nursing a baby the whole time. Always a baby on the hip, but we're not at 12 yet. So God bless you, Jeannette. I'm so excited that you're going to be here. The floor is yours. I'm going to mute myself, but you can call me back in at any time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate it. And I agree with you. I believe that the Lord is the one that directs our steps. So I'm very thankful for this and thankful that Charity introduced us. So I want to say thank you for that. Thanks for inviting me. Okay, I know we have Angela and Anita. Is that right? You guys are sharing the room. Okay. And then we have Kim and Delia. Is that correct? Am I pronouncing that right? All right, good. Well, my name is Jeannette, like Karen had mentioned, and I am the wife to my best friend, Joe Wood, although sometimes I want to strangle him, but probably just as much as he wants to strangle me. We truly do just enjoy each other's company. We work together. We own a trucking company together. And then, of course, we homeschool our children. We've lived life together. So it's kind of have interesting dynamics. He's on the road a lot. So there's years where I only get to see him 2 weeks out of the year. We've moved over 21 times in our marriage. And so life has not been dull on top of that. You know, we have 11 kids. And so that always makes life interesting and fun. Kids are spontaneous and you never know what's going to happen next. So if you see a service dog and a child come running behind me in the screen, you'll know it's just a normal day at my house, and we'll just keep going. Today we're going to be talking about marketing, and I think one of the things that was really impressed upon me as I prayed for this meeting was there are a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a hodgepodge, smorgasbord, huge collection of marketing resources online as well as offline available to us. Some of them are inexpensive and some of them are incredibly expensive. But the one thing that I often see that's failing or missing out of that is the real connection of somebody who's been that mom that's balanced the checkbook, you know, for $40,000 a year, trying to feed all the kids in the family, and then going to owning her own business and trying to manage a checkbook for a whole company and 6 other families that are depending on us for that income. And that's a little hard. It's hard to find somebody who's actually been in the trenches with you, who's done it, who understands the marketplace, and that doesn't just give you a fill in the sheet. Okay, I'll tell you one of my pet peeves is when someone offers me an editorial calendar or a Facebook, how to post or something, and all I get is this Excel document with empty sheets, you know, empty splots, right? I mean, they've put the title of like what the column is for me, but I don't know what to fill it up with. It is absolutely no good to me. And so when I started seeing that, I started thinking, you know, this is something that I could help people with. And
I lost Jeannette. Did y'all lose her? But you can hear me. So Jeannette, if you can hear us, you might have to reset your internet button or something. We lost you. You're absolutely frozen. Uh-oh, we lost her all the way. She'll come back in maybe.
Does it let you pause recording?
Oh.
You might want to pause so she can. Then you won't have.
So sorry, you guys.
It's okay. We were talking about you while you were not here. So.
Oh dear. All right. Well, let me just kind of keep going. So,
yeah.
So someone offered my husband a job, right? And he could drive truck for them, but they would only pay us commission. And that was pretty scary as a wife. We had 10 children at the time. And so to go to commission only, that was really difficult. And the trucking industry has set expenses. So it's like, we're always going to pay fuel. We're always going to pay the trucking bill. And so how's that going to work if we don't have much revenue? So I, of course, did my research and figured out how much the truck was bringing out and how much our commission would be. And basically what I figured is that we would be very scrawny. We would raise very scrawny children if that's where it stayed, but we could survive. And so my husband spent about 6 months praying about it. He actually went to my father and a couple of other men he entrusted. And he said, I just want your feedback. I want to know if this is the right direction for me to take. At the time, he was about 48. And so the Lord actually shut my mouth. And believe it, that is a very rare occasion that has happened in our marriage. Very rare. In fact, it was so odd that my husband thought I was purposely withholding information from him. And I kept telling him, I honestly don't know what God wants you to say. And I really feel like I've just been told to keep silent. I mean, it's not even like I'm trying to keep silent. I have nothing to say. I have no input to offer. After the 6 months, he decided, okay, he was going to move forward. He was going to proceed with this. And I knew that something had to happen. I reached out to a friend of mine who had done marketing for authors and worked for some very prominent people. And I said, if you were in a situation like this, what would you do? And she said, Jeannette, I would take all of your years of experience and your talent of relating with people, and I would apply that to Facebook. Facebook is a small world country, and I would start talking to them like they were your audience. And so that's what I did. And we grew the business. We actually tripled that company's, doubled that company's revenue, their total revenue. And I think my husband said we actually tripled something else, but it was a lot of money. We went from 0 to almost 2 million within just a few years. We went from half a truckload of food coming out to 15 trucks of food coming out. All of that happened because of the Lord blessing it. I'm not saying that, you guys, if you follow these 5 steps, your story's going to be just the same. But what I am saying is that the Lord used that to teach me some things, and he actually blessed the work. And I like John Quincy Adams' quote, duty is ours, results are God's. And so I showed up every single day with my duty, and God bless that. And that's what I'm going to share with you. And that's one of the things that I love doing with all of my clients, is actually getting in the trenches with you, working with you, and making sure you reach those steps and make sure you progress. So it's not something where you're going to find empty templates and nobody to help you fill them in. You're not going to find resources you already know about, but still vague. You don't know how to use it, or you hear how I use it, but your industry may be different. Since I don't know you very well, how many people here provide a service and how many people provide a product? Let's see. I'll look in the chat to see who's talking. Okay, service is what Delia says. Angela, Anita, what about you guys? You provide service, product, both?
Oh, okay. We didn't hear the question, but we hear. So you go.
I provide a service.
Service, okay.
And I'm product, kind of a service and a product together, but mostly product.
So both. Okay. All right. So when we are working, whether it's providing a service or a product, a lot of times in marketing and getting our message out about our product is making sure that our product is actually meeting a need a customer has. And when I took to marketing for ourselves, I also marketed me personally as a brand, making sure that I was relatable to the customer and that I understood their need. And I know you guys have went through a lot of this, but when you are a service, you have to remember that you have to sell you. You have to believe in yourself that what you have is a gift, it's a talent, and that you're there to share and invest in the life of somebody else, right? When you have a product, you have to make sure that that product is going to invest and make the life of somebody else better. And if you don't believe that, then really our conversation for marketing should end. Because there's no reason to market if we don't believe that what we have is needed. What we have can make the life of someone else better. So let's get started with just a few ways of how to do that. We're going to dive in. We've got a lot of information to go through, and I want you to ask questions. So if you need me to stop and re-say something, or you have questions about something, just put it in the chat and I will be attentive to look at that. What is marketing? When we're defining marketing, I am talking about promoting or selling a product or service, like we just talked about. In order to do that, we have to get the attention of our customer, right? That's what marketing is. Marketing is a tool to help us get the attention of our customer. And in today's day and age, getting that attention is the scarcest resource that we have as entrepreneurs.
So, Jeanette, if you were, when you were sharing your screen earlier, I think when it bumped you off, it bumped off your screen as well. I didn't know if you wanted that back up.
Okay, I am, let's see. Karen, I think I'm going to not show my screen because I don't know if that's affecting my internet. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I want to make sure we don't. Did everybody get a handout? Does everyone have that PDF? No. Okay.
No, that's why I wanted you to share your screen, because I hadn't given it to them. You'd sent it to me by email.
Do we dare try it? Do you guys want to try it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I think that might have been the reason that it bumped you off.
All right. Well, we will try it then.
I know I'm a visual learner. So
yes, absolutely. And I was just assuming everyone had it. So thank you for mentioning that. And I'm going to go back to Zoom. There we go. And share screen. Okay. Share.
So, yeah.
Here we go. Everybody here? Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me minimize this. Will I see your chat? Let's see. I think we might. Yes. Okay, we'll see this. We'll move this right over here so I can see it. All right, so we're talking about meaningful marketing, how to gain and retain your customer. What is marketing? We went ahead and I shared about that. That's that first slot there. And it is promoting and selling products or a service. But we were talking that in order to do that, we have to get our customers' attention. I don't know about you, but for a lot of people I work with, that's the one thing they find that's the hardest, is that they have something available and they can't even get people to know about it. They don't know how to be heard. We have so many companies and businesses just clamoring for attention that we have created services and opportunity to mute that clamoring noise out of the way, right? We have remote controls that are muting our commercials. We have the ability to record our TV shows so that we can fast forward past commercials. And then we have algorithms that are muting us before our customer or our client even gets the opportunity to hear from us. So as businesswomen, as entrepreneurs who really need this to work. I mean, we're not doing this as a hobby. It's not our second income. For a lot of us, this is our source of income. This is what puts food on our table. We have to figure out how to market where people can actually hear. And one of the very first things that we have to do is we have to remember that marketing, marketing is not about what I have to say. If you look right here on this side, marketing is not about what I have to say. It's about what my prospective client or my customer needs to hear. When we start talking in that method or in that formula, it can really clarify our message. So it's not the fact that I need to make a certain amount of money each month, or it's not the fact that I have this new product that I have to get out. I've got so many of them sitting on the shelf. It's about why my prospective client or customer needs this. And I have to believe that really strongly in order to motivate me to put in the hours and the work that's going to be required. There's multiple strategies that businesses use to communicate to their customer. I've worked with corporations as well as single entrepreneurs, and I can tell you it's really interesting because a lot of times entrepreneurs want to know the secret of these big corporations. At the same time, those big corporations want to know the secret of that entrepreneur that's rising for a little bit of money and doesn't look like a lot of time. And so they both are trying to figure out each other's strategies when I talk with them. But there's one thing that I see that all successful marketers do, and that is that they create a relationship. When I was talking just a little while ago about service and presenting yourself, if you have a product, you're presenting both. You have to present your product, but you also need to be able to sell yourself as the inventor or the supplier of that product and why they should buy it through you. And then if you're selling a service, of course, yourself. So great marketing is disruptive. And this is what I want you to hear. Great marketing is disruptive, not because somebody did something magical, not because someone had more money to outplay you in the market field. It is disruptive because people did ordinary steps in extraordinary ways. And a few examples of this are Zappos, or when somebody is doing a business that is then funding fresh water in another country, or they buy one shoe and will put another pair of shoes on a child in Africa or Haiti, or things that they're doing extraordinary. They're connecting the customer. It's a very ordinary marketing step, but they've taken some extra attention, extra care, and it disrupts the marketplace. There are different forms of marketing. You've got relationship marketing, content marketing, direct marketing. Inbound, outbound marketing just refers to how we're bringing customers in or if they're finding us. Behavioral marketing, geo-marketing, digital marketing, of course, multi-level marketing, guerrilla marketing, which is what we normally refer to as bare bones, very minimalistic. Diversity marketing, and automated marketing. Some of these can be combined together. You can have relationship marketing with direct marketing. Are people familiar with all these terms where you feel like that is clear, or is that something that you would like me to go into, or is there one specifically you want me to address? And if you guys just type in the chat room, I will dive into that for you more.
I would like for you to dive into that. I'm familiar with the terms, but I never really thought about what they mean separate from one another.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about relationship marketing, and when we're using that, what we're referring to is not just bringing a customer in to sell a product for a one-time experience, but you're wanting to create a buyer's journey that brings them into trying the product with you, buying the product, repeat buying the product, and then referring somebody else to buy from you. So in sales and in marketing, there may be those times where, we are selling one septic tank to a customer. I'm just going to take a septic company, for example. And typically, if they sell a septic tank to one homeowner, that homeowner isn't going to need another septic tank for 20 or 30 or more years, right? But what they want, is, if they were to create relationship marketing, is they want to provide such a great service. They want to take some ordinary steps and just give it a little bit of extra attention to where that person is going to refer someone else to them, or they're going to then buy another product. And so that's where you have in digital marketing, relationship marketing combined. You will have somebody buy maybe a $9.99 product from you. They try it, they use it, and then they buy a $12.99 product from you. And they try it and they use it, and then they buy a $49 product from you. It's cultivating that relationship that keeps somebody long term and doesn't lose as much or have what we call churn through the business. So it takes more work. It takes more thoughtfulness as you're going through, because it's not just a one-time sale, you know, like a carnival where you're selling cotton candy just to each person. That definitely is not relationship marketing. So you have to develop some more finesse around your marketing. You have to give some more attention to it. But in the long term, it can help businesses because they're not losing as many customers. There was a company I worked for that people would, be familiar with if they heard the name, and they were losing so many more customers that they actually had to bring in almost 100 customers a day to make up just for the customers they were losing. So that was making it hard for the company to ever progress and make its goals because of how many customers they were losing. Relationship marketing was a technique and a tool that we used to help in that situation. Content marketing. This is marketing that involves the creation or the sharing of content, providing free resources, being that person that has something available. And this is something I absolutely love. And I love to help people do this because people need help. You know, if you just think in the middle of the day of who your ideal client is, and I'm assuming that everyone here has already, worked that out and you have your ideal client. For us, we call our ideal client, we've named her, her name's Rita. And so Rita, we are always talking about her. What does she need? How is she feeling? What are her struggles? We're always talking about that and thinking about that as we're creating our content. Well, one of the best things that we can do is if we just ask ourselves, whatever your client's name is, what does Rita need this afternoon? Really think and put ourselves in her position. What would she want to find in her inbox, or what would she want to find posted in any of the platforms that I use for marketing? And that's the content marketing that can bring in more business for us. Because if we develop that kind of relationship where we are promoting and providing free resources for people, once we have something to sell, it's much easier because there is that relationship. We've given away so much for free. They want to then see, well, this was great free, what would I get from her if I paid? So that's where content marketing is really helpful. Now, you may already be having this question, but a lot of times when I work with clients, the very next thought is, I can't think of enough content. I mean, maybe I could find enough to last me a week or a month, but Jeannette, year after year, how do I come up with this content? And there are some different strategies to help you do that. And some free ones too. So I want to be able to share those with you, and we will come back to that, and I will give you those links too. Direct marketing is, selling the services or products. I think that was Anita that had products, so she might be doing direct marketing where she's selling directly to a public. She's not using retailers. Inbound marketing is referring to when we send a message out to a customer, and then that is bringing customers into us. Outbound marketing is just the opposite of that. It's where customers are finding you based off of what they need. And of course, that would be a lot slower in growth and revenue, but there are times that you want that to happen. For example, there are times in my own business that what I'll do is I will have life events happening, or something that is just I'm needing to prioritize things. And so what I'll do is I'll close down my inbound marketing so that if people find me, it's through outbound means, and then I feel like I can take that load and I can work with that better. So that's a strategic way to balance our time. Behavioral marketing is something that I love. I know I was able to share with Karen yesterday. In November, I will complete my behavioral analyst certification. But I just love psychographics. And when you're thinking about who your customer is and you're deciding, geographically, where does your Rita live, or how old is my Rita? Those are demographics, but there's also psychographics that are incredibly important. And that could be a whole nother workshop all on its own. But you take that information that you learn about Rita's behavior and you can apply it in your marketing. And I'll give you some ideas on how you can do that. One of the ways I see people do this in the wrong way, quote, quote, wrong way, because it's really, remember, these are ordinary steps and you just add a little bit of extra attention. So somebody might be able to make this an extraordinary step if they added some extra attention. But one of the wrong ways, quote, quote, would be creating a survey, right? So you ask your reader, how old are you? What do you like to do? Where do you eat for dinner? That kind of thing. And really, statistically, the percentage of people that are filling out that survey are not enough people to give us a rounded and a complete idea of who our customer is. And so we get very limited information from that. Sending it out and inviting like your best readers and saying, you signed up for this product, and so would you be willing to review or give me your thoughts about it before I publish it? That's a better idea on how to get their thoughts. But a fun way to do it would be, if you were using a platform like Facebook, is to start asking them questions where you learn something about them. So I'll tell you a few things that I learned about Rita and for behavioral marketing is I learned that Rita wears her clothes backwards some days. I learned that if she had an extra 24 hours in the day, she would want to spend it sleeping. So Rita's really tired. Wearing her clothes backwards tells me that she's multitasking, she's busy, she's distracted. And let's see, what are some of the, she kills houseplants, which again reinforces that she's busy, she's distracted, right? I find out these things by asking fun, playful questions on our Facebook page. So maybe I'll ask them a choice. If you could, what would you pick if you had your choice? Would you pick have a house plant, or would you pick chocolate, or or can you keep house plants alive? I have a terrible green thumb. What about you? Something like that. That's a playful way of asking. So that I can learn and gain information, and then I can market better to Rita. So for myself, and when I get that information, then I know that Rita doesn't need her email box all cluttered up. She doesn't want to keep up with the multitude of emails already coming in with her. So that's really not the best way for me to communicate with Rita. I also know that Rita's distracted and she's busy and she's tired. And so I take those things into consideration when I'm trying to speak to her. So I'll do a Facebook Live, because that'll be right then in front of her where she can jump in and jump off. Or she does better with Facebook than she does with a blog post. And so I just strategically put information in places where I know Rita's going to have a better time being able to get it. And that's how you can use behavioral marketing to help you with your business. Geo-marketing is going back to kind of the demographics and going to like knowing a certain area that we're wanting to target. We use this especially in my husband's business when we're looking for truck drivers. I will use Google and I will, geographically, or Facebook, geographically target a certain area around us so that we're bringing drivers from those states that surround us and not from New York or from the West Coast, where maybe they might be interested, but they're not wanting to move that far. So geo-marketing is just using location to strategically get your message out. For example, in Karen's situation with having this convention coming out, she possibly could have used geo-marketing, maybe you already did, to get the message out through Facebook ads or through Google ads for the area where the convention is going to be hosted. That's a perfect example of doing that. Digital marketing, I think we're all familiar with that, just knowing, having a product that's digital that we can upload and then it can be sold while we sleep, basically. Those are nice materials. Diversity marketing. This one's a little complicated as far as for ourselves, because entrepreneurs, if we diversify, a lot of times our market is starting out small. And so to really break that segment down is harder. But for larger companies, if they're trying to do diversity marketing, perhaps they have 45% are women, 55% 55% are men. Maybe they will break down their message in that degree for their ads, right? So they would target their marketing resources for women at specific points, and then other times they'd have another page, exactly the same product, exactly the same service, but they would develop it for men and promote it just to men. And you normally see that in bigger markets that people have. Automated markets, there's a lot of tools that we can use for this. Infusionsoft is my favorite. But again, for some entrepreneurs starting out and for clients that I have, that would be like taking a rocket to get to New York. You know, you don't need a rocket. You could totally use a bicycle, or you could use a car to get there. And so knowing the tools and the resources that we have to help us in our journey can make marketing much easier for us and not feel overwhelming or consuming. I want to stop right now because I've given you a lot of these definitions and explained things to you, and I want to make sure everyone's really clear that marketing does not have to be complicated. It is simply a system. It's a structured path, and there's a lot of different ways that people can take to get there that helps you reach your goal. And so when I work with clients, one of the things I really suggest, and we'll do it later on as we work on our screen here, and we'll know our current position and where we're going. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed and think there's so much, I'll never get this done. Because simply put, marketing is nothing more than a system, a structured path to help you reach your goals. So keep that in mind. I'm sure you guys have. Let me stop my screen so I can see you. But have you guys used Google Maps recently, or have you noticed if you want to go from Topeka to New York? Actually, our family, we're taking a trip to New Hampshire in just next month, so a few weeks. And if I put in on Google Map, Topeka to New Hampshire, on the top side there, it shows me I can go by car, I can go by foot, and I can go by, transit or airplane or whatever. And then it tells you like how much time you're going to get there, right? Well, marketing is much the same way. You want to have your current destination or your current position of where you are, but you need to know there's a lot of resources, a lot of avenues to get you there. And one might get you there in 23 hours, one might get you there in 3 hours, and one might get you there in 400 days, but there are different ways to get there. None of them are bad. It's finding that resource that works for you. What's hard or challenging for a lot of people, and what I see the mistake that they make, is that they decide they're going to go by transit. They take the bus, right? And then they hook on the back of it their bicycle, and then they decide they'll buy a plane ticket halfway as they're journeying, and they're just constantly switching up their transit, never giving themselves time to actually make the journey and get to their destination. So avoid the trap of constantly switching and trying to take another resource, or what I say, going towards that bright, shiny object. Don't do that. Really try to decide and be thoughtful about what system is going to work for you, and then stick it out. Part of marketing is having that discernment of knowing when to see something through, and also know when to surrender that ground and go, you know what, I invested a lot here. This is what I was doing, but it's not where the Lord's leading right now. That's not where it's blessed, and I need to just let it go. The sooner we can do that is the better. So don't try to stick with something too long, but also on the flip side, don't just keep trying things. Give it time. Give the Lord time. And one of the things I mentioned to my husband just recently, we were talking about some drivers and some needs that he was having in his business. And he was saying, I just would like to get to this point over here. And I was reminding him that so many times we can do that. We can see just, we're not looking at everything that's in between point A and point B. And God's doing something to us through the journey. It's not in the arrival that we find the most impact and change of who we are. It's in that journey and that process that changed us. And so it's really important that we don't fight the process and the journey of it, but that we actually accept it and say, this is what's changing me. This is what's preparing me for that final destination. Because when you get to that spot of marketing, when you go from $0 to $2 million, that makes you a different person. This whole journey made me somebody different when I got here. The skill set that I had, the knowledge, the character that was tested and proven and revised, all of that became something different. Not simply because I hopped from A to B, but because of that middle process, all that firing, removing the dross from the silver that takes place during that. So find a system that works for you, stick with it, find tools that work for you. Don't feel like you have to buy the most expensive tools. Think about my rocket ship example. Do not take a rocket to get to New York, okay? Find what will minimally do what you need it to do. And there's tons of resources out there, but let's talk about platforms. Let's talk about something so that you can get started right away. What is your preferred content? General, like if you guys can just type in the chat for me. Do you like email? Is that your preference of how you communicate? Do you communicate just on your website? Do you communicate Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? Which one are you using most? Anybody? Okay, Kim says Facebook. Good. Anyone else? Facebook. Okay. Then let's see. Do we have any other voters for Facebook? We've got two. Anita, Angela, are you guys Facebook, Instagram, text message? Okay, good. And Delia said Facebook. All right. Is anybody using Twitter or Instagram, or does anybody want to move into Twitter or Instagram? Okay, Angela says she needs to, LinkedIn, yes. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about LinkedIn, and then just for time, because we got kicked off and I wanna respect your guys' time, I'm gonna talk about Facebook, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about LinkedIn. How's that sound? Okay, so let me go back to sharing our screen. Okay, so we've talked about that our marketing is much the same way. There's tools to get us from one destination to another, and that was in this section here.
If you want to, you could talk only about Facebook, and we can do an entire thing next year on LinkedIn.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, LinkedIn is a totally different, it's much different than Facebook. So let's go ahead then and talk about Facebook. And before I finish, I want to bring you back to the document here, and I want to share the answers to those questions so that we don't run late on that. Marketing shapes our thoughts, it develops relationships, and it motivates action. And what I'd like you to do is think about the word motivate here, and I'd like you to cross it off actually. And I want you to think the word motivate. When I think of motivate, I think of like pushing, trying to get something to work. I'm motivating you. Come on, you can do this, right? Instead, what I'd like us to think of is marketing inspires action. So now, instead of pushing you to take action, I'm inspiring you to take action. And the difference in that would be like, instead of, cheering you on, come on, you can do this, I would be leading the way with my example. And so my example, my purchases, my stories would all be leading you to want to be part of that. And it would be inspiring you to write your own story, right? They're a little bit different there. So marketing inspires action, not motivates it. So let's talk about using Facebook to do that. Using Facebook to shape thoughts, to develop ideas, or develop relationships, and to inspire action. And one of the things that I have for you guys, if you look down here at the bottom, if you will text, Angela or Anita, one of you said text is one of the ways you use to communicate. I absolutely love Textiful. If you haven't used them before, it's what I use when I go and I speak, or when I have an event like this. Somebody can type a keyword and then they can get information from me. So if you text marketing to the 345-345, I will send you a PDF with all the do's and don'ts of social media. There are a list of words that if you say, you will be censored. And they aren't publicized. So it's not like we get this handbook that tells us, don't say these words because then we're not going to let your audience hear from you. But what we have learned through research and the study of the algorithms is that when those words are used, such as giveaway, free, like this, when you use certain combinations of words, the algorithms do prevent your audience from hearing from you. And that was something that we said just a little bit ago. Let me open this up. Okay. That was something that we said at the very beginning of this, is that getting our customer or our client's attention is the most sacred resource that we have, and it's the most scarce. When the algorithms are even muting us out before we can speak. So knowing your do's and your don'ts is going to help you not get muted as often as you are. You want to always make sure that your marketing is with the perspective of your client. Stay away from controversial subjects. I had a client that he saw his Instagram page just blow up, had lots of new people liking him on Instagram, and it was because he had a controversial image. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was showing a picture of a combat training he has, but he used his wife as the demo, and it blew up. After that, that's when then he said, okay, now how do I take care of this so that people don't think that he is into harming women or, doing something, overbearing that his wife wouldn't have approved of or something. And so we had to be quiet and let the audience speak instead of him. So if you share something that is controversial and you go, because it can happen without us even knowing that we do it. And all of a sudden it just blows up and we get a lot of negative comments or people are going back and forth. So the very best thing that you can do on Facebook or any social platform for that matter is stay quiet. Just stay quiet and let the people deal with it themselves. Very rarely do we need to speak in those situations. And when we do, we need to just speak about, let's just keep it nice. And there are times when I've advised different companies to hide a comment because that person will still think their comment is showing. They don't know that you hit it. All their friends will see it, but it will keep the rest of your audience who is not their friend from seeing it. And so I do have a company actually that reached out to me about that very thing. And we just went through and hid different comments that should have been hid. But try to stay away from those controversial things. It doesn't mean that you can't have a voice or you can't say that you disagree with Trump or agree with Trump. It's just, does that promote you or does it promote your product? And if it doesn't, it really isn't something that we need to be talking about. So learning what to say and when to say it, and not getting involved when we do accidentally post something that's controversial. Let me go to some of the Facebook things here. I had a whole page for you. And I'm just kind of skipping some things here because I don't want us to take up time. And I do appreciate your guys' patience when my thing went down. So really quick, get your pencils ready and write this down. You want to make sure that you're using Facebook Live. Facebook Live adds authenticity to you. It creates that bond of what we were saying of getting people to like and connect with you. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, it was about a year ago or so, I actually got on and did a Facebook Live thanking my audience that I didn't have to put makeup on or that I didn't have to worry about if everything was perfect in the background or if kids were running around, that we created a community that accepted and actually inspired to be real and to support each other in the real nuts and bolts of who we were. And this was for a woman's page that I did. And it dealt primarily with the audience of women and moms. And so use Facebook Live to bring off this authenticity to who you are. Also use it though as you're presenting authenticity, don't forget to allow it to display respect for your reader. So just because we're being authentic, just because I may be without makeup one day doesn't mean that I should always show up looking that way. I want to show my audience that I respect them, I value their time and who they are, and I do put on makeup for them occasionally. So use Facebook Live for that. Facebook will actually give you more credit and allow you to be seen more. When you're sending emails out to your audience, text messages to your audience, or Facebook statuses, remember, it is not about me. It's not about you. It is about our clients. So we always want to make sure that we have three things. When you look at your post, think, does this make them feel better? Does this make them look better? Or does this make them, there's a third one, feel better, look better, or do something better? Does this make them actually be able to perform better? Am I giving them something that will help them accomplish something better than they could have without it? If you ask yourself those three questions and are always posting in that way, your audience is going to love you, because that is what they want to do. And I know that sounds narcissistic. None of us want to say that that's the truth. But if you had to post, and I've done this in research and study before, and it's always interesting, and people will send me things and say, Jeannette, should I post this? And I can say, no, actually you shouldn't, or go ahead and try it. But I'm betting, knowing your audience, that they aren't going to share that because that's going to make them look bad. So in a parenting group that someone had, they were advertising on how to get your kids to stop saying bad words. And they had very little interaction on it. And they were promoting a book that somebody had just written. And they were wanting to know why. Well, I don't want to share something on my page that's going to make people think that my children are little sailors, right? So we needed to rephrase how we did that, so and turn that negative into a positive, so people did want to share it. So instead of how to get your children to stop cursing, instead of doing that, we'd how to have children who always speak with grace. That would be something I would want to share compared to the negative. Which brings me to the next thing, is always make sure that when you're writing, you take out those negatives. The word don't isn't a really good word to use. It's something we should try to avoid. Instead of saying, don't miss this opportunity, that's something that you'll get dinged for. You'll get muted in algorithms before it's even presented to your audience. So instead of saying that, try saying, really? Are you going to miss this? So see how it could just kind of a twist on it. Instead of me telling them a negative of don't do it, I'm saying, really? You're going to miss this? And just switching around like that can really help you. We call those stop words. And there's a whole big thing that we could talk about, stop words in SEO, stop words in our headlines. But there's also stop words on our social media, and we want to make sure we don't use them. And one of those words is don't. Make sure that when you look at your Facebook page, that 80% of the content of what you have is you giving and serving your client or your customer. And use the 80-20 rule, that 20% is of you promoting yourself. So 80% is about me promoting and helping my client, and 20% is about me promoting myself. When I was little, and actually, you know what, I'm going to look at the time here. We are right at 3 o'clock. How are we doing for everybody? Are we want to?
I would, we know that some people will leave if they need to, and I would go ahead so that it's all on the recording, what you want. We can. I mean, this is fascinating information to me. I mean, I did understand about stop words. There was one thing. Oh, I was going to say, I've actually done a wet hair. I'll get on a live video and to just the NACWE members, because we're a group of about 90 intimately connected people. They're very gracious. And I've gotten on and said, wet hairgram or pajamagram, don't share this with the world, but I just wanted to know this really quickly. And it's been received really well. But I loved that you said that. You just gave me permission to do that again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Using that to be authentic, but like I said, also show them that we respect them. So, in our, in my way of connecting with people, I share things about our in our home. And so a lot of times people will be comparing themselves to our family without me intentionally meaning them to. And that can happen to all of us, where people start to compare themselves to us, and we have no idea. We're just trying to be happy and encourage people. And pretty soon you hear from someone that, I just wish I was like you guys, or I just wish I had a family like you. And when you hear those kinds of things, it's really important to put up a trigger for us is, I need real, and I need to show them a sink full of dishes. Are you sure you want to be like me? You have 11 kids and 4 grandbabies and spouses in the house. You have a sink that is like overflowing of dishes, right? Or, are you sure? I haven't seen my husband in 3 months, or, just different things that can kind of bring it back to perspective. We're not saying to our client, are you sure? But in our heads, that's what we want to make sure to kind of balance that. And I think those videos help. Think about your client, you guys. If just like today and coming and talking with you, I was praying and just thanking the Lord for the opportunity that He would entrust with me these women at this time to speak into. And I wanted to make sure that I was faithful and I had done that well. And that's what we need to do every day we show up to work. The clients and the customers that are going to stumble upon our page, or they're going to write us for help, we want to be thankful and really take on a place of service to them, of, Lord, thank you for bringing this person to me. How can I in their life and pour into them and make their lives better because of the experiences and the talents and the skills and the training that you've given me. When I was a little girl, this is a story I was going to tell you guys a little earlier. My mom would take me out for drives, and she would take me to the airport, and we'd sit there and we would eat these. They come in pink and white wrapper. They're square, and it's a chocolate covered berry. They're completely unhealthy. You should never eat them if you are into health at all. But I think called I forget the name, but I know where they are in our marketing. Dream about your client. Take a little bit of time. Like I said, just dream about what are they doing? Where are they going? How can I help them? How can I be a blessing to them? Slow down and think about that. It's really interesting because years ago, I did this as a child. I don't even remember how old I was, maybe 7. So 40, I'm 50 this year. So, a long time ago, I did this with my mom. But even today, as we travel the country, if I go to a truck stop and I see one of those airy candies, I'll buy 2, one for me and one for my mom. And whenever I see her, I'll give it to her and I'll tell her. And I always think about those sweets with her. And our clients to feel that way with every single product that we do, with all of our work. We want them to feel like, I was thinking about you. I remember we shared this and we connected. Ask people on your Facebook page, you can pray for them, responding to them, knowing about them is all super important so you can make those connections. Yes, it was cherry mash, Kim. Yes. So, there you have it, guys. Any questions you have for me? I know we kind of talked about a lot of different things, and there's so much meat into what this is, but do you feel like you can take the next step? Who feels like they can go and post a better post on Facebook with the information we covered today? Awesome. If you need help, I am in group. Karen, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of that. I will be in there and I will be watching, and you can friend me, send me a private PM, just ask me, Jeannette, I'm about to put this post up. What do you think? And I would love to help you with that. Even if it goes for a couple of weeks where I help you, I don't mind. I will help you as I have time. I want you to be successful. So
we will post throughout the week snippets that Kim and I picked up from your talk today. I mean, I needed it. I needed to think about marketing kind of in a different way. I think I did do the text thing. And so, I mean, that txtf.co, can just anybody do that? Can we do that? Or is that?
Yes, absolutely.
So what's the TCQE thing at the end of it? Is that specific to your program or?
Right. right? Yeah, it gives you a code specifically for me. So then I actually have it where it goes into my Infusionsoft and it tags you so I know where you came from, what you were interested in. So that's where behavioral marketing comes into place, right? So now I know what to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm. And then I had, if anybody has questions, pop in, but I had another question. I would have never thought to ask some of those questions to get, I mean, here I consider myself somewhat of a behavioral scientist, right, with PhD in counseling and family therapy. But I would have never thought to ask some of those questions to kind of figure out, you know, that she's tired, or I would have just said, are you tired? I'm exhausted, are you? And so how do I get more information about that? That would kind of open up new avenues for me there.
Well, that's exciting that you ask. That is actually something that my daughter Rebecca works with me, and we are putting together a complete program to help people come up with creative and fun ways to get the information they need about their clients. It's something that businesses ask me to do for them, is understand who their client is, their customer, how to communicate with them. When I worked as a nurse, I was med-surg and labor and delivery. I was used in the hospital to help clients who, what they called high risk, not high risk medically, but high risk for a lawsuit. And so they had ways where they knew this patient had a hard time. They would have me come in and be able to talk with them and be able to diffuse situations or resolve situations before. So it's something that I've just always loved. And you know how the Lord prepares you here, and then you come over on Facebook and you're like, oh, I get this. I know how to do this. You know, something else that I'll say to all of you that are still here is, don't get offended by your client or your customer. That's something that I often have to tell people is don't take it personal. You know, when we're promoting ourselves as a service, it can feel very personal when somebody starts to attack our work or, you know, attack our grammar or whatever. Just remember, it's not personal. It's about them and where they are at that moment, and just be super gracious about it. Whenever anyone corrects me in my grammar, I'm always there to go, I am so glad you caught that. I cannot believe my fingers type without my brain, or, you know, I just dismiss it. I'm not going to be offended by it at all. So yes, very good. So we will, and there's a whole bunch of fun ways, Karen, we can find out. So, and it makes it fun. Yes. Yeah.
So do you have, we can put in the chat room, or do you have a promotional slide at the end of how do we get hold of you? And
let me do that. Let me get it here for you. I did have a slide. If you would just like to be able to get weekly tips and hear what I'm doing, just very snippet type information. It's free to anyone. I will send you the link right there. You just sign up and you can get that. And then if you would like to enroll in the master marketing program I have, that's with personal coaching, and I help you with your customer base. So it's not just a package where you're going to get a whole bunch of information and then you have to figure it out and go through it on your own time. I'll tell you what I do. I do provide the information to you for lifetime. You can do it at your very own pace, but there is 9 weeks that I stay with you and I walk you through it every step of the way. We look at your numbers and what they're doing. We try different strategies and implement them together and in group. And so that course is what we call our master marketing course. And I only open it up 4 times a year. So the next one, the fall, is already done. So next one will be starting January 8th. So I would love to have you guys join us if that's something you're interested in.
Okay, so if they went to that particular website and tried to sign up, it would say you're on a waiting list, or
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me take you there. Let me show you really quick, and we'll just take a quick look, and that way you guys will know you're in the right spot. Let's see. Close that. There we go. Okay. So if you would just like those snippets every week, totally free, no obligation, nothing. Just go ahead. This is what the page will look like. It's the very first link that we posted in the chat, and you'll get signed up for that. If you would like the master marketing, this is what the page will look like, and this is what you should see where you'll be.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Angela, Anita, you guys good to go?
Are you popping in? It looks like you might be popping in, Anita. No? Okay. We're good to go.
We were waiting to read our chat box because we've got the computer sitting so far back. We are like,
All right.
Well, and I wish I had, all of my chat boxes, I took copious notes for me, because after all, this is all about me, right? And I don't see them there anymore, so something happened. But
when it bumps us off, it deletes all the chat when it reads.
yeah, it bumped me off, and it's so we have not only you had internet issues, I think it might have been me, because it even bumped me off.
Yeah, we did.
Well,
I
we'll see how the recording goes. I got so much out of it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the month and having you in the NACWE group and be able to pick your brain just a little bit. We will talk further as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. You guys have a great day.
You too. Let me pray us out, and we will bow out. Father God, thank you. Give us great insight, really, into just this tidbit of marketing. I realize it's just the tip of the iceberg, but it really opened my eyes to some things, especially about asking really entertaining and fun questions to draw out, our ideal client and that sort of thing. And so I would just pray that we would be able to take takeaways, things from this webinar, and really enhance the business and ministry that you've called us to, Lord. We just want to please you in all that we do, and we are so grateful to Jeannette for being here today. We would just pray a special heap of blessing on her and her husband and on these 11 kiddos. And there's some grandkids in there somewhere as well, too, about 4 of them, I think. So just a special blessing on everything wood related today, and exchange for her giving of her time so graciously today, Lord. We would just pray a blessing on them. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Thank you so much. It was great.